You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 154. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. A question I get asked by prospective clients quite often is around the topic of social media. Do you need to have social media before you pitch yourself to podcasts, before you start having any kind of PR goals? Should you be established? Do you need a big following? And in short, the answer is yes, you should have social media platforms already up and running. But the answer to whether or not you need a big following is no. So, what kind of social media do you need to have before you start to pitch yourself to podcasts or any kind of traditional media? And that answer really lies in where is your ideal audience? Where are they hanging out? You know, a lot of people might say that for younger generations, like those who are 20-ish, if that's your ideal audience, they might be over on TikTok. But there is actually a whole older group that's hanging out on TikTok. I do have an account, but I do not hang out there because I feel like, frankly, I don't have the time to make the videos and whatnot. But does your audience hang out on TikTok? Do they hang out on Instagram? Are they the professionals that are over networking on LinkedIn? Could they be on Twitter, Facebook? What about Pinterest? I think that Pinterest is one of the most forgotten social media platforms because people don't think of it as social media. Yet it is a visually based, image-based social media platform. That's what it is. You can also think of it as an image-based search engine as well, but you are utilizing words. So where are you in that journey? Have you established your accounts? And by now, I hope you have. I had a question the other day I saw on a Facebook group where a business was launching their podcast. They have a big following already on social media. And the question was around whether or not they should launch social media accounts under the podcast name instead of their brand. And my response to that was yes, because that way you can secure the names and just redirect it to your business. So no matter what it is, I want you to first and foremost go secure those accounts under your name, under your business name, whatever it is. If you go to Instagram, you'll see that I'm very active under Michelle Glogovac, but there's also an Instagram account, the MLG Collective, which directs you to go see my personal account, but it's not really a personal account, it's my business account. So definitely have these platforms up and running. See where your clients are. Are they going to be over on LinkedIn? If so, you should be hanging out there too. And it's not that you need a big following on any of these platforms. I want you to engage on all of them. You should be simply commenting, liking, sharing, doing all of those things that you would do if it wasn't just online and if it was in the real world. Because in the real world, you would have a two-way conversation with somebody. You wouldn't just let them tell you a story and look back at them with a blank stare on your face. You would interact with them. So you should be doing the same thing on Instagram. Don't just scroll. Same thing on Twitter. Share, like, comment. What can you offer? Tell them that they're doing a great job. Say that something resonated with you. And this is all actually in turn going to grow your social media platforms. So why do you need to have these platforms before you start pitching yourself? The answer is because not only is a host or a journalist going to want to see more about you and where you are and that you exist and you're a real person, but it's so you also have somewhere to share and repurpose all of these podcast interviews. You're going to create content out of the interviews. You're going to share not just the graphics that are given to you, but create your own, make quote graphics. I've talked about this time and time again in previous episodes that you should take an interview and it doesn't just stop when you stop recording. The creation of content should continue on by sharing that you've been on this episode, by sharing the quotes that you've come up with, creating show notes, and then sharing that. All of this can be shared across all of your social media platforms. And that's all going to help you create a larger following, reach your audience, and so on. But does your following already need to be established and big before you pitch yourself? The answer is no. You really don't need to have some huge following. I've worked with clients who had 200 Instagram followers. And the reason why they were successful in podcast interviews is because of their message and what they were educating the audience on. It has nothing to do with how big you are in the online social media world. It has everything to do with what you're bringing to the table and what you can offer. So I don't want you to ever worry about how big your following is. I want you to worry about whether or not you've already established the account and you're interacting and engaging. I do think that you should be posting somewhat consistently, at least, once or twice a week at the bare minimum, because otherwise it looks like you're just not there. Even if you're interacting and you're engaging, if you haven't posted in weeks and weeks and months, then how is somebody who comes and visits your account going to know that you still exist? And I actually ran into this the other day. I was looking at a certain account because I thought that there's some potential to work with this person that I've known in the past. And when I went to her account, there had been nothing posted in 33 weeks. But I knew she was active because she just commented on one of my posts. But to me, that said, oh, is she still in business? Is she still doing something? Because I'm not quite sure. So you don't want to leave that feeling or that thought into someone's head when they visit your account. You want to at least show that you're there, you're presenting stuff, you're active. And in addition to posting and creating this content and being quote unquote active, you should be engaging. Like I said, you should be liking, commenting, sharing, retweeting, doing all of these things. Join in on a Twitter space or join an Instagram live, make a comment. Just simply be present whenever you can, because that also shows that you're not just in the here I am, look at me type of mentality, but that you want to interact and engage and give back to other people. And that's really what sharing other content is all about. But also by interacting, you're opening up the possibility for new relationships and connections. And I'll give you a great example. The other day on Twitter, I saw that there was a woman looking for publicists. So, of course, this piqued my interest because, hi, yeah, that's what I do. So I followed her and I replied to her tweets. And then suddenly she was in my DMs asking to learn more about what I do, being the podcast matchmaker, how can we connect? And I replied right away and asked if I could send her a proposal and maybe we could set up a time to chat. And we did. And within a couple of days, she signed a contract. And of course, within my email after the DM, I went and I looked her up. I looked at her website. I got to know who she is, what she's about. I looked at her other social media platforms. And unbeknownst to me, she had done the exact same thing to me, which I absolutely love because, I love a good intentional stalking story. And when we got on the prospect call, which is usually a time for me to kind of sell myself and, share why you should be working with me and not someone else, but at the same time, listening to the goals of my prospective clients and are we a good fit? As I was telling her my story, she said, yeah, I already know all of this because I already read up on you, which was absolutely amazing because this was a call that you could go into. And because of this interaction that we had started on social media, we're able to create a business relationship and take it to a new level. But this all started because I have a social media presence on Twitter. And this is really what it all is about. It's not just about being present in order to showcase where you are to someone that you're pitching to, but it's also to create new relationships. This is how you can also find other hosts that you want to eventually pitch yourself to. This is how you can introduce yourself to a host before even pitching yourself to them. By showing up and engaging with them, when your email finally pops into their inbox, they're going to recognize your name, and you already are 10 steps above anyone else who's doing a cold pitch. So the goal isn't really to have some huge presence. The goal is to simply be present. And in engaging and posting and creating continuous content with the interviews that you get, you're ultimately going to grow that presence. So social media is important when it comes to podcast interviews because you want to be able to share where you've been. It's another extension of that thank you to the host. It also allows the host to know that they're going to reach more people because of your social media presence. If you don't have any kind of following at all and you aren't even on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any one of these platforms, then how are they going to grow their podcast when you have nobody to share your episode with? Take that into consideration. And remember, they're not needing to grow it to 1 million people. Yeah, that would be nice. But just to simply reach a new audience of 10, 20, 100 new people is a big deal for any podcast host. Nowadays, we're seeing more and more that there are some big companies, podcast networks, that are buying downloads, which is sleazy and disgusting. And you can go back to my episode about paying to be interviewed and how that's sleazy and disgusting. But their iHeartRadio has just purchased like 6 million unique downloads, which people didn't even know was possible. So for a podcast host who's independent like myself or anyone else, really the majority of people who have podcasts are going to be independent, and we're looking for downloads. That's our goal, because downloads equals a bigger audience, equals potential sponsorship and more marketing and, potential advertising dollars in the end. And so if somebody's out there buying the downloads, there's not much we can do about it. But if we have guests that we're interviewing who will share those interviews with their audience, then we can see further growth and further downloads. So it becomes a win-win for everybody for you to have a social media presence. So friends, if you do not have an account set up, I urge you this week to go set it up. Go secure your name just like you would a domain. Secure your business name, redirect accounts if you need to. That's what a bio is for. That's what the website is for within your bio. And do those simple things just so you can start showing up where your audience is. And that way you'll already be established when it comes time for you to share your podcast interviews. Until next week, my friends, I hope to engage with you on social media. Drop into my DMs, engage, comment, like, and I will do the same to you.